Okay, so we're going to go over Scout's commands and show you how you can stay consistent with him once he goes home. So his first command is heel. This is loose leash walking on our left-hand side. So you want Scout's head right next to your leg. If he gets out of your space, we'll correct him for that. But again, you want him right next to your leg. You can reward him for being in your space, reward him for paying attention to you. This is how your walk should be all the time now. You want them to be structured. You should barely know he's there. He just gets to come along with you for your walk. And then you can free him to go sniff or go potty when you want, but the majority of these walks now are going to be where he's in that heel position, walking right next to you and paying attention to you. There should be no tension on his collars because he's in your space. If he needs a correction, again, we'll go over how to correct those in the end, but you want him right next to you, paying attention to you on your left-hand side, and you want to have a nice relaxed arm and a nice relaxed leash. His next command is sit stay, so you'll ask Scout to sit. Then when you want him to stay in that sit, you'll just remind him sit before you walk away. We don't say stay because that's one more word that Scout has to try and remember. So you'll ask him to sit. If he needs a correction, again, we'll go over how to correct him towards the end of the video, but you'll remind him sit. And then once he's in that sit, you can walk away from him to go put your shoes on or your coat on, to go for a walk, things like that. You'll ask him to sit. Remind him sit before you walk away. Then you can do what you want. Come back to him to reward and release him. So for the sit, you'll reward Scout up by his head with those treats. Good boy, good Scout. You can reward him with pets, verbal praise, or treats. Then when you're ready to release him from that, you can either say free to allow him to do what he wants, or if you're getting ready to go on a walk and you want him to walk with you, you can release him from the sit by saying heel. So that is his sit stay. Again, you'll remind him sit to remind him to stay there in that sit. And then you can walk away from him, go do what you want, come back to him to release him. That is sit stay. His next command is down stay. Sometimes Scout sits first and then lays down. That's okay, but you want to make sure that Scout goes into that down. Then once he's in that down, you want to reward Scout down towards the ground where his head's at. That way he doesn't try and get up to get those treats because he's so excited that he's getting rewarded. So you'll reward him low to the ground, good down, good boy. And then same as the sit stay, you'll just remind him of the command he's already in before walking away. So you'll remind him down before you walk away. Then you can go do what you want, go to the bathroom, put your shoes on, put a jacket on. Then when you're ready to release him, you'll go back to him to reward and release him again, reward him low to the ground. And then you can release him by saying free or heel, whatever you wanted him to do next. So that is his down stay. His next command is place stay. So unlike the sit stay and the down stay, Scout is now on an elevated boundary. So you'll send Scout to place or walk him to place. Then once he's on the place bed, you'll reward him for that by placing the treats on the bed. This helps Scout understand that the treats are coming from the bed, and that way he's more likely to stay on the bed because he knows the treats are coming from that bed. So you'll reward him on the bed. Then when you want to walk away to go make dinner or watch a movie, you'll remind Scout place before you walk away. Then this one's especially important to go back to reward and release. You'll go all the way back to Scout. You'll reward him on the bed for staying on place, and then you can release him by saying free or heel, whatever you wanted him to do next. So that is place stay. Again, is stay on an elevated boundary. His next command is come when called. So you let Scout out to go to the bathroom, or you took him to a park to run around, and he's out doing his own thing. He's gone to the bathroom. He's sniffing a little bit, so he's not paying attention to you. When you're ready for him to come back to you, you'll say come really loud and firm. Then you can take a few steps backwards to welcome Scout into your space. And then once he's back to you and sitting, you can reward him. You can verbally praise Scout as he's on his way back to you. Good boy, good job, Scout. That way he stays interested in you and he thinks that you're more exciting than what's out in the yard or whatever he was sniffing on. So again, you'll say come really loud and firm. You can take a few steps backwards. That way he knows that it's you who's calling him and that he's welcome in your space. Reward him by verbally praising him as he's on his way back to you. Then once he's back to you and sitting, you can reward him for that. Good boy, good job. You can pet him, you can give him those treats. This one's especially important to reward because we want him, again, to think that you're more exciting than what's in the yard. So he's back to you, he's sitting, you've rewarded him, and you're ready to release him. You can say free so that he's free to go sniff again, or you can heel him if you're ready to go inside and take a break from doing recall. So again, that is recall or come when called. Call him back into your space, few steps backwards to welcome him into your space, reward him once he's in your space, and then you can release him when you're ready. So that is come when called or recall. His next command is leave it. So you want to practice leave it with Scout. That way he's prepared for if this were to be an emergency situation or a situation where you drop the pill on the ground, things like that. You want to practice this with dog safe foods first. So chicken, hot dogs, his food, any kind of treats that you have for Scout, you'll practice dropping those on the ground and telling Scout to leave it. If he looks at you and doesn't go after those treats, you can reward him from your hand. Then you can either tell him okay to let him know that he's free to have those treats, or you can pick them up off the ground and either put them away or give him those treats from your hand. That way he knows that they're safe to eat. But we want to practice Scout not getting what's on the ground and leaving it and getting something from your hand. That way he's prepared for if it's medicine that you spilled on the ground that he's not supposed to drink or eat. That way he's in a safe position when that were to happen, if it accidentally were to happen. So that is leave it. So those are Scout's commands. We want to be sure to practice these with Scout. Make sure that you have fun with him, but then also make sure to be firm with him and correct him when he needs it. So his remote collar, to turn this on, there's a small red magnet here. And then on the remote, there's another small red magnet. You're going to tap these two together until you see that green light flash on the collar. Now the collar is turned on. Then to turn the remote on the back of this remote is an L button in the center. You're going to press and hold that button until your screen lights up. Now both the remote and the collar are turned on. To correct Scout, I'm going to pretend that my hand is Scout's neck for a minute. And to correct Scout, on the side of this remote, there's a black S button. We're going to press that to correct Scout if he needs it for doing an unwanted behavior. So you're healing Scout and he gets distracted and starts to wander too far ahead of you. You're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him heal. Again, you want Scout back here right next to you. He's wandering up here, distracted, not paying attention to you. You're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him heal. That way you can communicate with him that he's out of your space and you want him back in your space. So that's how to correct him for healing. If he was in a sit stay and he got up too early because he got excited, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him to sit. Then if he's in a down stay and he gets up too early, or he switches from a down to a sit, you're going to correct him for that and say no, press the black S button, and remind him down. If Scout is in that down and he gets up and switches to a sit, we want to be sure to correct that. But if he were in a sit and he decides to lay down, that's okay, and we don't need to correct that because he's still in that stay. But if he's in a down stay and gets up, he's still getting up from that stay, so we want to be sure to correct him for that. So if he gets up from the down, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him that he's supposed to be in a down. Same for place. If he were to get off place too early or not want to go to place, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and tell him place. Then for recall, if he's out in the yard not paying attention to you, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him come once you've called him back to you. So if he starts to come back towards you for recall, but then kind of gets distracted on the way and starts to stiff, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and then remind him come. Then you want to be fun and exciting again to keep his attention on you. So that's how to correct him for those different commands. When you practice leave it, you can say no, press the black S button, and say leave it if he starts to go towards whatever you just dropped on the ground. So that's how to correct him quickly with the remote collar. Then for his prong collar, this is going to sit on Scout's neck like this, and Scout is supposed to be back here for a heel. If he were to get too far ahead of you in his heel, you're going to say no, give him a quick pop and release until he's back in your space, and remind him heel. You can do both the prong collar and the remote collar at the same time as well. So you would just give him a correction with one hand with the prong collar and press the black S button at the same time. So that's how you correct him for a heel. If he's in a sit and he gets up from that sit, you're going to say no, give him a quick pop and release up towards him, and remind him that he's supposed to be sitting. We do it in an upward motion because that helps communicate with Scout that he's supposed to sit. Then if you were to get up from a down, you're going to say no, quick pop and release in a downward motion. That again helps communicate with Scout that he's supposed to go down. If he were to get off place, you're just going to say no and give him a quick pop and release in the direction of the place bed. That's going to remind him that he's supposed to be on place. And if you're practicing on a 50-foot leash or something out in the yard with Scout and he doesn't come back to you for recall, you're going to say no, give him a quick pop and release towards you, and then remind him that he's supposed to be coming towards you. So that's quickly how to correct him with the prong collar. Again, Scout's commands are heel, loose leash walking on the left-hand side, a sit stay, a down stay, a place stay, recall or come when called, and leave it. So those are his commands and how to correct him if it's needed. But again, make sure to have fun with Scout and reward him for doing his job and doing wanted behaviors. But again, correct him for those unwanted behaviors. That way, he's more likely to do calm, wanted behaviors for you in the future. So those are his commands and how to correct him with the collars. And now we're going to show you his commands.
That was my dog. Mine was just like a, just got a cut though.
Down. Good boy. Good down. Good boy. Down. Good boy. Good down. Good boy. Good down. Good down. Down. Free. Good boy. Sit. Good boy. Good sit. Free. Good boy. Good you, good you. Yeah. Leave it. Good. Good boy. Come on. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. Good boy. Free? You're free. Come on. There you go. Come on. Do it. Do it again. Leave it. Good. Okay. You can have it. Good boy. We'll do one more. We'll do another one. Come on. Do it again. Leave it. Leave it. Good boy. Okay. You can have it. Okay. Good boy. Good job, Scout. Good boy. Free. Place. You, good boy. Good boy. Good place. Boy, place. boy. Place. Good place. Good job, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Good place. Free? You're free. Good boy. Good boy. Okay, so now that we've shown you and gone over Scout's commands, we're going to show you more in depth the remote collar. So it's already turned on. Again, to turn these on, you would tap those two red dots together to turn the collar on. And then for the remote, it's that large circle L button in the center on the back of the remote. And you press and hold that until your screen lights up. So these are both on. And again, to correct him for unwanted behaviors, you're going to say no, press the black S button, and remind him what he's supposed to be doing. Sometimes Scout's a little dramatic about it, and he kind of twitches his neck a little bit. Again, that's just him being dramatic. Scout is only at level 15, which is on the lower level for an average of what we send dogs home on. So he's being dramatic, and that's okay. But you would say no, press the black S button, and then remind him what he's supposed to be doing if you needed to correct him. Under that black S button is a red S button. This is Scout's boost level. As you can see on the screen, he's at level 15 when I press the black S button. If I press the red S button, that changes Scout to level 31. That is what we call, again, his boost feature or his emergency button. So Scout, for some reason, gets loose and he's running towards the road and you cannot seem to get his attention. You're going to press the red S button, which is going to change his level to 31. And that's going to help communicate with Scout that you need his attention and that it's pretty serious and that you need him to come back to you. So you would press the red S button and say come until you got his attention and he's coming back towards you. Again, that is his emergency button or his boost feature. I have not had to use that with Scout. Hopefully you won't have to either, but you have it just in case. So that is the black S button, which is his correction level, and the red S button, which is his boost feature. Then on the other side of this remote is a black T button. You can hear that on the box. That is the vibrate feature. So if you need to correct Scout, but it's not really worthy of an actual correction, you just are kind of giving him a little warning, you can press the black T button to, again, give him that warning. I have not used that on Scout, so I don't really know how he's going to react. Some dogs react like it's nothing, and other dogs are pretty dramatic with it and act like it's worse than the correction itself. So you can try that out with Scout in the future and see if he's doing really good. You can see how he responds to that, and then use it as a warning if he understands that that would be a warning for him. So again, black S button, correction level, red S button is this boost feature, black T button, vibrate feature. Then on the back, that L button that we used to turn on the remote collar, we can just tap to turn on the flashlight. So you press and hold to turn on the remote, but if you just tap it, that turns the flashlight feature on for his remote collar. Again, tap it to turn that on and off. Next to that is a small M/C button. That just means momentary or continuous. You can see on the front of this remote, Scout is on momentary right now, but he started out on continuous and then we switched him to momentary. He shouldn't need that continuous feature anymore, so you can keep him on momentary and you shouldn't need to mess with the M/C button at all. Then at the top of this remote is a dial. If I turn that right now, his level is locked in place at 15, and this is not changing for him. But if you get home and you feel like Scout's really distracted, he's not paying attention to you, and 15 isn't enough, then what you're going to do is you're going to press and hold this dial down until it flashes. See how easily it changed to 0? That's why we keep it locked. So we'll put him at 15. And then if, again, that 15 isn't enough once he's at home, or if you take him to the store again and it doesn't seem to be enough as a correction while he's out in those high distraction areas, you can change him to 20. Or if you get him home and 15 seems like too much, he's kind of yelping, he's twitching really bad and being really dramatic with it, try changing him for a correction level. You kind of have to work with him and see what's going to work, but right now 15 is the level that's working for him. Again, sometimes he's a little dramatic with it and he twitches, but that's the correction that gets him to stop doing his unwanted behaviors and make sure that it communicates with him to do wanted behaviors when he does do an unwanted behavior. So I'm going to leave him at level 15, and I'm going to lock that into place by pressing and holding that dial down. It flashed. Now that level 15 is locked in place again. We want to make sure again that this is locked because it can change really easily, and then his correction will either be too low that he can't feel it or too high that it's going to really bother him and hurt him if it is too high of a level. But again, his level is 15. We pressed and held that dial down until our number flashed, and now it's locked in place. Then last thing on the back of this remote is the charging port. You want to make sure that that's closed all the way unless it's charging. So those are the features of the remote. On the collar, there's this light that flashes green every couple seconds. That just shows that the collar is on and it's charged. If it flashes red or yellow, that just means that it's running low on battery and needs to be plugged in. And that's also where the light for the flashlight comes into play. Then next to that is that small red magnet to turn on the remote or the collar. Then underneath, there's these two prongs that make contact with Scout's skin. These are already the longer prongs, just since Scout does have that thick coat on his neck. So we want to make sure that these are touching his skin. Sometimes you have to kind of move his fur a little bit out of the way to make sure that these are making contact with his skin. You can always ask your groomer to kind of make it shorter around his neck right there, just to make sure that these are making contact with his skin. I haven't had any problems with that since I put the long prongs on, but those are just some tips that you could do to help make sure. Then under there is also the charging port for the collar. Again, you just want to make sure that that's shut all the way when he's wearing it and it's not on the charger. The collar is waterproof, but especially make sure that those are charged if Scout's going in the water or playing in the snow, anything like that. And then if he were to get wet, you want to make sure to take this collar off of him and dry him off really well so that he doesn't get bacteria under these prongs and get little sores from having water under there. And then we have this quick little bungee here. That way you can put it on him quickly. If this were to get too small because he grows a little bit more, you would just undo this strap buckle right here, make it a little bit looser for him, and then once you've fitted it to his size again, you can put it on him and continue to use this buckle. So those are the features of the collar. Then in this box here, we've got the original strap that the collar came with. We've got his charger. Both the remote and the collar can be charged at the same time. And then we've got the smaller prongs if for any reason you want to switch back to those. And this little screwdriver tool that you would use to loosen and tighten those prongs. Then under all of that, there is an instruction manual in the box if you want to read more in depth about the collar and the remote. Then on the back of the box here, there's a number and an email to contact to get the 2-year warranty that we send the collars home with. Again, the collar is waterproof, so Scout can wear this when he gets wet. Just make sure you take it off and dry him off really well before putting the collar back on. Then just another tip. This is going to sit on Scout's neck, either here or here, just underneath his neck to the side a little bit. I like to keep it to the side that is pointing away from me. So Scout's on your left hand side. I like to keep it over here on the left hand side of his neck. That way when he feels the stimulation or the vibration, he wants to come into our space to get away from that. And that way that helps him come closer to you. Then you want to make sure that you have the light part facing upwards. That way when you do use the flashlight feature, you're sure to see him in the dark and it's not hidden in all of his fur because it's hit underneath. So those are the features of the remote collar. Then for the prong collar, you have one at home that might be a little bigger. This is a small one. Then to take this on and off of him, you'll push up and kind of pull the prongs apart. Then to put them back together, you'll put one side in, pinch them together, and slide it back into place. Then again, this sits on Scout's neck like this. His hair's thick enough that we can't really rotate this too much. So I kind of like to try and put it to where this part is on top, facing to the left a little bit. That way we can pull it in our direction if we need to. Then again, to correct him for anything, you'll pull up for a sit, down for a down, towards you for recall or healing, things like that to correct him. But again, it's just a quick pop and release. When you're on a walk with Scout, you want to make sure that you're not holding on to it too tight and there's no tension. It's not making a triangle, because that's going to allow Scout to pull into this collar, and there's always going to be tension from those prongs. So he's going to get used to that feeling of the prong collar. So we want to make sure that when it's on him and he's doing a wanted behavior, he's in our space, he's listening to us, we have this nice and relaxed. And then if he does need a correction for doing an unwanted behavior, we can just give him a quick pop and release. So those are his collars and his commands. Make sure to have fun with him. He's a good dog. He's lots of fun and he's really good at playing. So for recall, maybe play with him, get him excited. Make sure that you're more interesting than what's in the yard. And then if he does an unwanted behavior, you can be sure to be firm with your corrections. But when he's being good, he's listening to you, he's doing his job well, we want to make sure to pay him for doing a good job by giving him those treats and verbal praise and pets. So again, make sure to have fun with Scout, but also be consistent and firm with your commands. So have fun and be consistent.